With the advent of both Robin and Aventurine both getting their summer forms, there is a question that is raised to the community. Do you all like the summer versions as a possibility for the future of Star Rail? Now, this is not a new concept. We'll get into that a little later, but if you've been in the gacha sphere for as long as I have, you will understand that this is not a new concept. This has been very much a thing in other gacha games. It is new to Star Rail, however. So the question is whether the community as a whole agrees that this is a cool thing and we like the fact that we're getting more characters. Let's let these summer versions of them be actual different characters. Or do we not like it and we only want new versions of the characters when it's story relevant? Because that does raise a concern, right? Because let's say we keep it to story relevance only. First off, the character has to be in that story. If they're not in that story, they're not going to get another version. So in Robin's case, we haven't seen her since Pinakani. Now, I know Euphorius was self-contained to an extent, but we haven't seen her since Pinakani. It's been like, what? It'll have been around about 2 years since her release once this new Robin drops. Now, if this was story relevant, I mean, obviously this time she'll have a role because it's, she's being released. But the question is, how big of a role is she going to have? Is she going to have as large a role as she did in the main story of Pinakani? Or is this more of like a summer event thing where we're all having fun and it's a vacation and it's going to be great? Because for the longest time, I mean, you've been meant to take Star Rail's story seriously. Maybe there's a lot of fluff here and there, but the grand majority of the time you are meant to take it seriously. These summer versions do raise a flag for that question. Do we want some less serious events going on in the game? Like, do we want that? A lot of other games have ups and downs with their moments in terms of like, sometimes they'll have like the serious story for like maybe 2 to 3 months, it'll be serious, and then for summertime, maybe like, I don't know, let's just say it's July, right? And then July time, it'll just be the summer event for that full month, and everyone's having a lot of fun, and it's nothing serious, but you get new characters or new costumes and all that stuff, and it's a great time. The question is whether or not, again, Star Rail players as a whole want this to be a thing, because I've been in here for a long time. It's been the better part of a decade, if it hasn't already been a decade for me. And these are nothing new to me. We'll take a look at Fate Grand Order as an example here, but these are not new concepts. They've been in this sphere for a very long time. I'm going to mainly use Fate Grand Order as our comparison point because it's been in the, it's gonna be 11 years for that game's anniversary this year. To an extent, since Nasu is one of the people that, I mean, he is half of the reason, if not the entire reason, that Fate is even in Star Rail to begin with. And he spearheads Fate Grand Order. I mean, he's like, the writer. He's basically the granddaddy of Fate as a whole. He literally wrote the first story, and whether or not he writes the modern stories for Fate, he at least has a hand in them most of the time. So it wouldn't shock me if the reason that these two exist, for Aventurine and Robin summer forms, it wouldn't shock me if it came as a suggestion from Nasu, both the new Aventurine and new Robin, because, well, wait, what I pulled up here, for those of you that don't play Fate Grand Order, it's the summer mode servant. So basically what this is, it's every single summer form that a character has. It's like a whole new character. Now, the difference between this game and Star Rail is that for Fate Grand Order, they do have free costumes. Like, for every single guy that you see here, like Gawain, I'll zoom in on him. Gawain right here. He is a 4-star in that game, and he has a few costumes. This is one of them. It's, a summer outfit. All the guys in this game never actually have extra characters being tied to them, as in, like, there's no summer Gawain and then normal Gawain. It's just Gawain, and you get to use the costume. a lot of people want it that way, which, you know what? Fate does it this way, that's understandable. Since women are generally the focal point for sales of Fate Grand Order, most of the time, they'll be paid. Like, if we look at Tiamat here, I'll just click on Tiamat. There's different looks that she has, right? I'll zoom in so you guys can see a little better, but you guys are seeing this is a different version of Tiamat. And she's treated as a different character. Like, just to hammer the point a little harder, this specific Tiamat is supposed to be a support, because everything she does buffs the party. But if we take a look at her other version, the initial one that came out. Okay, that's the wrong one. So this version of Tiamat, as you guys can see, she's completely different. This one's a DPS. And this is more in line with what's happening with Robin and Aventurine. They have the initial version, which is, you know, supposedly supposed to be the serious one. Not every character in Fate Grand Order is serious, but generally speaking, the initial version of the character is supposed to be the serious one. And then Summer is more so of like a nice thing. Not exactly like, you know, it's like an extra version. Like Tiamat in Fate Grand Order, they tend to wait like 2 or 3 years between new releases, if depending on whether or not the character's popular, and then they'll drop a new version of that character in the summer. And I think it's cool because you have another option. Like for my favorite character here, Melchorless, she's, you know, wow, she's the face of the Avatar. She has her normal version here. And then if you look at her summer version, it's completely different. Like in this case, Melchorless is an alter ego. She's a single target DPS, and she's quick, which is, you know, there's 3 types in Fate Grand Order. There's Buster, Arts, and Quick. She's a quick single target character. Okay, so here is Summer Melchorless. Different character. This version of Melchorless, for her summer form, is Arts AoE. So 2 completely different types. But this is, in my opinion, a good thing. Having more versions of the character summonable, in my opinion, is a good thing. Now, a lot of you, I'm just going to say it, new gens don't understand why this could be good. But let's say, I don't know. I guess since we're on fandom, I'll just pull up the Star Rail version. Let's pull up Robin. Alright, so we're here on the Star Rail fandom page, and we're just showing Robin here as an example. So the problem is if we decide that we don't like these summer versions, there is a non-zero chance that Robin here, like let's just say Summer Robin is not a thing right now and she didn't get revealed, and it's just this version of her. Yeah, she's still a great character and she's still completely usable in most teams, but she's kind of been a bit power crept. But think about it this way. If Summer Robin was not a thing now, let's say like in a year or 2, there is a non-zero chance that this Harmony Robin is just not good anymore and she's not worth using. Now, obviously, you know, play for your favorites, whatever. If you want to find a way to shove Robin in every team 2 years from now, it's your choice, right? But if you are concerned about meta, like most people should be, at least you should think about it a little bit. If all you care about is to get the 3-star clears for every endgame mode, then, you know, that's fine. But for people that care about meta even a little bit, I mean, obviously, yeah, Eidolons exist, and that helps longevity for a character, but they're... Again, let's say we jump out 2 years, and we still don't have another Robin SP because, you know, she has to be story-related instead of it just being a summer version. This Robin for Harmony could be completely useless, and that's not, like, saying that you know, Robin herself is a bad character. It's just maybe she got power crept so hard in those 2 years since then. In this hypothetical situation, of course. She got power crept so hard in these 2 years that she's genuinely almost not usable. Like, it's... I'm trying to think about a comparison point. Okay, so we're here with Dan Hong, and... imagine for a second, like, what if the only other Dan Hong we had in the game was Aventurine? And we never had another one. So, like, Permaster Terre never existed. And he, you know, let's say he was never a part of Amphorius in that way. That just means that at this point, Aventurine is the only real Dan Hong that would even be playable, and he sucks. Like, this guy's not in a good spot right now, but let's not let's not joke ourselves. He's not in a good spot right now. So that's the question that has to be raised. It's like, if we don't like these summer versions, are we okay with Dan Hong, for example, if Permaster Terre didn't exist? Are we okay with this happening where Aventurine is just not good? And well, it hasn't been for, what, 2 years now? Probably it's been 2 years, because I think he came out year 1. So that's the question. You guys let me know, of course, if you are okay with these summer versions existing or not. I myself, like I said, I think it's a good idea to have them as opposed to just not having a different version of this character at all. Yeah, you have the argument where that it's understandable that these should have technically been skins, but Robin has fallen off in the meta at least a little bit. She kind of needs Eidolons at this point, which, you know, if you're a Robin fan, you probably have a few by now. And with Aventurine, it's like, especially with Aventurine actually, because Sustains have honestly, since Hyacine and Dan Hong and Permaster Terre have come out, characters like Aventurine have just kind of fallen off, and that's not any fault of Aventurine. It's just, you know, power creep in the gacha game, right? That's kind of just how it works. And I bring this topic up because I was looking at the drip marketing a bit after it was released last night on a few social media. So maybe, you know, Twitter obviously is going to complain about something because they, you know, they're always miserable. But even on TikTok and like Instagram, places that aren't as bad with the toxicity, I was still seeing a fair amount of complaining about these two being a thing. And it's like, I get where you're coming from to an extent, but would you rather have a new version of the character that you love so much? Or would you prefer that they fall into obscurity over the course of 2 years because they haven't been started relevant for those 2 years? Yeah, it's like, are you okay with the character falling into obscurity, or would you prefer something like Dan Hong Permaster Terre where, you know, you get a new version of the character instead of just them being useless for 2 years because they, you know, Hoyo didn't buff them for some reason? And, you know, honestly, there's not really a wrong answer here because there's a good angle to be had from either of them, but I do think there's been a bit too much of a fuss kicked up over it, personally, but I at least see where they're coming from. Anywho, let me know what you guys think and whether or not you guys personally liked the new summer Robin or summer Aventurine exists. I know it's not their names technically, but that's just what I'm gonna call them that. That's what they are. So let me know between the two of them if you like it, if you don't, if I'm crazy for my take, even though it's not a new concept or whatnot, and I will have to see you all in the next video. Hope you all enjoyed. Laters.